Alright, so we are now going to make the cable and then place it into the project. So what we want to do is we want to create a circle actually on this plane perpendicular to that plane. So I want to look at this from the right hand side. So I'm going to go to my elevations over here. I'm going to go to my right elevation. And this intersection, I'm just looking at the right elevation of that. So I want to draw my circle right on this plane right here, making sure to snap to the intersection of these two. And it's going to be a straight extrusion, so I'm going to start the extrusion command here. And it's going to ask me, what would you like the profile of your extrusion to be? And it needs to be a closed profile, and I'm just going to pick a circle. And I'm going to left click at the intersection of the planes, and then just click out and make a circle. Now, I'm going to go to modify to stop the circle creation command. I'm going to pick the circle. And in order to place a parameter that can control the radius of our cable, I need to put a new parameter on here. And so I need a dimension to place that parameter on. So in order to get a dimension, I can select the circle and it will give me this listening dimension. And if I click this, it will make the temporary dimension permanent. So I'm going to left click on it. And it has now made that temporary dimension permanent. It's kind of big. So what I'm going to do is come over to my scale here, and I'm going to set that scale to 1 to 5, maybe even 1 to 2, and that's going to make it associatively scale appropriate to that dimension. So now that I have the dimension, I can select it, and up here is a label dimension, and what that's going to do is it's going to place a parameter on here. And I can go to create parameter, and I am just going to say radius. And we're going to make that a type parameter. It's going to place it under dimensions and length based on the fact that we picked that type of dimension. So it kind of categorizes it for us. I'm going to click OK. So now that has a parameter on it. So once I'm done with that, I can go back to my modify create extrusion and hit the big green check. And now if I go into my 3D, you will see that I have this cylinder here. Now I'm going to go into my reference level, and I'm going to pick that cylinder, and it's going to give me some shape handles. This is the 0 point for the extrusion, so I could lock this shape handle to that reference plane, but that 0 point will stay there. I'm going to take this shape handle and I'm going to drag it to this reference plane and lock it. This is an existing parameter that came with the template. Once you create parameters and constraints, you want to test those. So flexing is really what it's called. So in order to flex them, I'm going to open up what's called the Family Types dialog box. And this is going to show me all the parameters that are existing in our particular family right now. So the length one came with the template, and the radius we made. So if I do the length one, let's say I make that 2000, and I hit apply, you'll see that that gets longer and the cylinder goes with it, and that's what I want it to do. So I'll go to 1500 here and hit apply, and I've now flexed that, making sure that that cylinder is accommodating the length. Now I'm going to change the radius, and I'll change it to 10 and hit apply. Now I can see that that parameter is controlling that radius. Now what I want to do is I want to make a new type. So a new type allows me to set my parameters and give those parameter settings a name. So up here there is no type name because we haven't created any yet. So I'm going to go up here to new type, and it's going to bring up a dialog box that wants me to name that type. So I'm going to call this 25 millimeter, and I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to set the radius to 12.5. And I'm going to hit apply. Okay. Now, it's fine to have the radius, but most of the time you think of a cable as a diameter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a parameter and make the diameter control the size of the radius. Okay. So I can also come in here, and down here at the bottom, I can make a new parameter right here. So if I click on new parameter, I can name this diameter. I'm going to make it a type. It's discipline under common. Length and dimensions are all fine. So that's the type of dimension it's going to be. It's going to be a length dimension. I'm going to click OK. And it's going to place that in there. Now I'm going to make it something other than 0, because really a diameter can't be 0. There's no way to make something with a diameter 0. The program will not like that. So I want the diameter to be 25, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell the radius to be half of the diameter. So now I'll be able to enter the diameter and it will set the radius parameter. So this is going to equal diameter divided by 2. And I'll hit apply. And now I have my 25 millimeter. I can go to new type and I can make a 50 millimeter. And I can click OK, and instead of having to do the math, I can just come in and type in the diameter for the 50 and hit apply, and you'll see it update there. Now I have two types. I have a 25 millimeter and a 50 millimeter. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place a material parameter on this. So I'm going to select the extrusion, so the model piece itself, and over here is a material. I can place the material directly on it from this area right here, but what I want to do is assign a material parameter that will give me access to this in the project when I load it. So right here is an associate family parameter box, and if I click on it, it brings up a dialog box that allows me to create a new parameter. So if I create a new parameter, because I picked it from the materials and finishes, it sets up all of these settings for me. And I'm just going to name this cable mat, or short for cable material, and we're going to leave it as a type instance. Or sorry, a type. And I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to save this. And I'm just going to save it to my desktop as cable working. And save. In the next video, we're going to place it into the project.